Welcome, everybody. Drum Education Live, episode number 80. And in a landmark episode, we have a landmark guest, Mr.
Yeah.
Mark Smith, one of the co founders of Drum Education Live, who couldn't take it anymore, then he left us. But we are so annoying that not only we invited him for episodes, we invited him twice, and this is his
Yes.
second appearance. Welcome, Mark. Thank you very much for accepting the invitation once again.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this. I
Okay,
think we got
cool.
into some interesting things last time, and looking forward to
Let's
continuing.
pick up from where we stopped.
Okay.
Kira,
Well, this isn't to do with the last question that you were asked, but
Oh,
we spoke to you a year ago.
you did.
What's
yeah.
changed for you in a year?
I'm not locked indoors all the time. um, whew. With drumming or generally? Like,
Anything.
So, okay.
anything you
so,
feel like telling us?
oh dear.
Tell us
I
everything.
could be here
Tell
for a
us
while
everything.
then. So music-wise, I'm in a bit of I suppose some kind of transition phase at the moment, which is quite hard to describe. So I did so when the lockdown ended, I joined a thrash band and did a tour with them. And they were great guys, loved the music, absolutely hated the tour. And kind of
Why?
and it was right now. Well, this is the thing. So they're nice people, but they weren't close friends. So I found it quite difficult to do. I'd kind of got into a routine with my training and because I lift weights as well. So and I kind of missed that. And then also like the sleeping, like I'm terrible with no sleep. And you just don't sleep when you're touring. So as a compounding of these things, so I've kind of had to sit back and think about, so I made my wife, I told her to stop me joining any more bands, which I might be about to violate, but
Of course you are, obviously.
well,
Come
possibly.
on, man. That's what we do.
So I love the idea of being in a band. I don't like. Sorry, dog's barking.
Mark has a dog.
I do have a dog. I'll hold him up to
Yeah,
the screen. and
you're not
show
hearing
you.
things, people. It is a dog.
It's my unconscious talking. So I love playing music, and I love playing good music, and I love playing metal and all those things. It just I periodically reach a point where the bullshit that goes with it is too much, and I don't want it anymore. And this time, so what I've been trying to do is kind of dig down to, like, as you said, like what am I actually trying to get out of this, so that I don't keep repeating this loop. Because I also have this other, like, some kind of professional guilt, should we call it that? Like I should be in a band and all these things. So playing wise, I got a lot into, so I kind of got a lot into Gary Chaffee's stuff, bought 3 of his books, really enjoyed it. Gave me a new, now, so something I picked up in terms of improvising. He has this in his patterns book, he has this in the sticking patterns book. He has this way of talking about how you improvise on the drums that I've never heard anyone say before. It's in time functioning patterns, and it's one sentence. And I read it and was like, ugh. And the sentence is very simple. You take a grouping or a pattern and you treat it like a scale on the piano, and then you accent it and orchestrate it and repeat it. And it sounds obvious, but I'd never heard anyone talk about it like that. And all of a sudden something went blump, and I went from really, really struggling. Yeah, that was the noise it made as well. I went from really, it went blump. I went from really, so I've always found one of the things I've been trying to do is kind of make my playing more coherent, like make more sense and say something. I don't know whether it's anything clever or useful, but I wanted to kind of make a statement, like phrase. Sorry, I'm just going to have to put up with him barking for a minute. It's worse than children.
I don't know. I don't have either. I don't have children. I don't have a dog.
They're louder than children.
Well,
but
Mark is
less
going to bed
I don't
now.
know about that.
no, maybe not. So that's really what I kind of wanted to be able to do, because I've always had this thing where, like, especially when I play a solo, for example, I kind of feel like I'm not saying anything. I'm just kind of going through the motions and hitting things, and I've got my fallbacks of going really fast and all of the clever. And I wanted to kind of get away from that and four bar groupings, you know, saying something 4 times and then moving on to the next thing and then going and I started to do it, and it changed a lot of things. As in I could actually solo cohesively and didn't get lost anymore. Yeah, and then I went to, and then I read some bits and pieces on, I kind of got into that idea quite a lot and was just enjoying playing those things, you know, over and over. No grooves, it's all solo stuff, which is wrong, but that's a whole nother thing. And it's been really fun, and like learning the phrases and kind of putting them together. And then I read a thing by a guy called Mark Feldman. I don't know if you know him. He's an American teacher.
I've heard this name somewhere.
Bang the Drum School. So his New York teacher. He's got some good stuff. And he talked about this idea of having a phrase library. So what I've started to do is I wrote them all down, and then I practiced them back to back and started to put them together. And for want of a better word, it's worked. So I have these things in my back pocket that I can pull out. And now I'm not like, oh, I should be saying something different every time. It's like, well, I've got this sticking or phrase. So like, I'm obsessed with 9s. So like 5s and 4s and 6s and 3s. But what I do is I work on the dynamics and the orchestration. So it's not what I'm playing, it's how I'm playing it. Now that hasn't stopped me going off the deep end and working on other crap that, you know, playing faster and all of those things. But that was quite profound, I suppose, because it filled in a gap, and I've never heard anyone else talk about it like that ever. It was just like, oh my God, is that how you do it? Of course it is.
I think people don't usually talk about that because they're afraid of giving away their secret, you know.
Yeah, could be.
Because if you really pay attention, no one, I'm talking about the top guys, no one plays more than 5 different things.
No, and that is what I started to see, including Vinny. Right, and I'm like, oh God, I can see what he's doing. And this just, I can't do it, but I can see it.
Yeah.
Right, I can see what he's doing. It's like that makes sense. And because he's a student of Chaffee's, you can see how he's put it together. So there's a phrase he plays at the baked potato. There's a video of it. I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's a group of, I think it's a group of 12 or something. And once you understand I could sit back and write it out for you. Just kind of take the accents and make a reasonable guess at what's going on. And he's learned that. He's sat and learned it. And and this is going to sound weird, but you might make sense. I kind of never knew you were allowed to do that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but that's the secret, you know.
Yeah,
I know there's 5 things. I'm gonna master these 5 things. I'm gonna use them in many different orders, and nobody will ever understand it. They're gonna go like, "Oh, he's amazing."
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Kira gave me a bit of advice on Instagram recently, just like, you know, how to do it better. And the Reels thing was quite a big difference. And mostly shooting portrait for Reels and landscape for post. What a I mean, it's the difference between 2,000 views and 200.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. But anyway, and I was working on this pattern. So I had some lessons with Louis Palmer, or I had a lesson with Louis Palmer recently, and I'm going to go back and see him. So I kind of decided to treat myself to like a really high level tuition, you know, because nobody over here plays like him. He's a monster. And do you know what we worked on? Right, left foot, right, left foot. Or for me, it's left, right, with the hi-hat and quarter notes in triplets, 16th notes and 32nd notes. And then dynamics and flow. I kind of knew he was going to do that. And I was partly relieved and partly surprised at the same time, if that makes sense. Like, okay, yeah, you're not doing anything I don't know how to do. You're doing it better than me. Well, whatever that means, you know. And then
maybe not better, but with more confidence because he's been doing it longer.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. So it kind of made I think about it differently. which I'm trying to hold on to at the moment. Which is that like what you just said, take those 5 things and learn them inside out. And so when I practice now, I suddenly notice that I'm sitting there for half an hour playing these 2 patterns back to back, and I'm not getting distracted because it sounds musical. But then the voice comes in and goes, oh, it's not fast enough and all that nonsense. But I'm getting past that, right? And then one of the things that Louis does is this, like, so you've got 2 rack toms and a floor tom. So you do 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3 around the world, or whatever they call it.
Oh.
And so I have this weird, I don't know whether you get this or not, but you sort of practice these things and you think, oh, I can't do it. And then I sort of just slung the camera up and went for it. Turns out I can play at 100 miles an hour and it's clean.
Is that
so I wasn't thinking about it.
not that I'm trying to nick it, but I am.
Right.
Is that in triplets, or what's he doing?
Like, what's he doing? He's doing it in everything.
Okay,
So the
so
one
put
I'm
that
working,
grouping 2, 2,
yeah.
3,
Yeah.
2, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'm working on it in triplets because
Cool.
I'm working on everything in triplets at the
Yeah,
moment.
basically, I don't know if Ralph Humphrey showed you guys this, Kira, but there was an exercise that we used to do a lot at MI, which was right, left, right, kick, left, right, left, kick.
Ooh.
And you do that in
Wow.
quarter note triplets, eighth note triplets, 16th note triplets, and 32nd notes.
Mm-hmm.
I want to write that down.
Yeah.
There's a paper.
So that pattern kind of, so what I then did was I took that and then I applied the Chaffee thing to it. So if you're working with 24 notes, 3 7s and a 3. So you go high, middle, low, middle, high, snare, middle, low, high, middle, low, snare. So you go like this.
Got ya.
And what I realized is because I can hear it, I can play it really clean, really fast. So all of these things have, and so now what I'm working on is physically relaxing much more. So there's this kind of, I'm trying to play less physically and more something. I don't know.
I think one of the greatest things that when I started doing lessons with Dom, it's because we get into a lot of bad habits that we don't realize it.
Yeah,
but one thing that helped me the lessons with Dom going back to the free stroke and the molar but stripping it right back is like, I've learned now to let the stick do the job.
Yep.
And my hand just guides the stick to whatever drum I want to play.
Yeah. That's where I'm trying to get. That's where I'm kind of.
But you know, it's the stick. I'm just okay. Now I want the tom. I just do that because I want the tom. But it's all, you know.
Yeah.
I almost don't move.
That's what I'm kind of slowly drifting towards. Well, intentionally drifting towards. But it's so, and it's getting. So what happens is when I have that I can't do it stuff come in, then I start to play more physically. The other thing I've got to do is change my stick size, which I've started to do because I bought a brick of 3As, Kira. So I've copied.
What, the fatbacks?
Yeah. I asked Rock Bottom to just get me a price, and they just ordered them for me. So okay, I'll have them. That's fine.
Awesome.
Well, they're
what were you
good
using before?
Thomas Lang.
Or at random? Or
sorry,
pardon?
Thomas Lang signature.
They're huge, aren't they?
They are very, very good for death metal and single drum work because they're very heavy and they bounce. They're not, for me, I cannot move them fast enough to zip around the kit like I want to. So I'm going for kind of a smooth, they're massive. They're like bigger than a TB. And for sort of this kind of thing, then for me, they're no good. And he doesn't really play like that if you watch him. He doesn't really do a lot of the kind of fast hand stuff. There's lots of linear things. So, I mean, they're a perfectly good stick, but just my style's changed. And that's been slowly happening. The other thing is was I doing the linear stuff when we spoke last time?
No.
Maybe you were just getting into it.
Yeah, so I got really heavily into it. And again, that was another eye-opener.
Yeah.
So what I was looking for is a way to play 4/4, but make it really interesting. and also this is to sound like Virgil without having those chops. Because I can't play like him. I've got a transcription. I just couldn't even get like the way he does a 3 on the hand at 3,000 miles an hour. There's no way, right?
Yeah.
But if you take the linear stuff, you can sound like it. So it gets me close. It gets me in that ballpark of the lots of ghost notes and doubles and accents and yeah, I loved it. And I've got a whole ways to. There was a period where I was just messaging Kira, going, "Oh, I got this. I got this. Look at this. I got this."
Blocked him in the end.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It was a little bit too
then I
much.
found you on here and
Yeah.
started looking at odd time with that, and then sort of came away from the odd time stuff because it wasn't what I was trying to do, if that makes sense. I'm trying to kind of I'm trying to play in 4/4 most of the time now, but be very, very fluent and kind of move through it much more easily. So is that enough changes, or do you want more? I think,
No.
but seriously, I mean that's, and I thought of you the other day, Felipe, just because I saw something about you talking about the free stroke, and just kind of, so the battle I'm kind of, I shouldn't call it a battle, the challenge I have at the moment is relaxing at top speed and transitioning up to that. And what I'm trying, so I was doing Virgil's power drumming workout, which was okay, but it doesn't really suit me because I find I was straining my left hand a little bit. So I thought,
Okay, so I'll give you an exercise to do then.
Okay.
2 to 50.
Okay.
You go from 2 bars to 50
Yeah.
bars with
Yeah.
each hand,
Okay.
playing quarter notes.
Yeah.
So it's 2, 4, 2 with the right, 2 with the left, 4 with the right, 4 with the left. Go from growing until you get to 50 at 100 quarter notes at 180 BPM.
Okay. Yeah.
Just using the free stroke.
Okay.
It takes around 15 minutes to complete the whole thing.
Okay. Have you found that that's helped you move around the drums? Okay.
This is the thing. This is the thing that, because when you get to play 50 bars of 4/4 quarter notes with one hand at 180, basically it's the stick is doing it by itself.
Okay.
And if you do that every day, by the end of the week, the stick's flying.
Just on a pad, yeah?
Just on a pad, yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. All right, that'll be 50 quid. No, that's really helpful, because I watch your playing videos, both of you, and as much as I take notes and go, what was that? I was watching the blues jams and just and as much as I wind Kira up about her weird hands, I'm sort of the relaxation that both of you have got is where I'm trying to get to now, but retaining the speed. And that sounds really useful. And it's always going back to basics all the time. And I kind of realized part of the problem I had, I suppose not problem, part of the mistakes I've made learning is sometimes I've taken on too much, but then I've never had anybody say, because maybe you're right, Felipe, it could be that they just don't want to tell you. It was almost annoying actually when I found, why has nobody said this before?
I wonder if it's like, sorry to cut in, I wonder if it's like with these bigger players that to them it's fundamentals, but they have used it for whatever, like they've gotten into a certain way of orchestrating it or some sort of dynamic. So then it's like, well, how do I even begin to share that with you? Because I need to explain the fundamentals to you first. I wonder if it's that. I like to believe that these players aren't secretive, because why would they need to?
No, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm pleased I came across it. I think maybe, sorry, go on.
No, it's just because we had a very good example in Liverpool with Mike Johnston. He explained a lot of stuff, but it's obviously that you need the fundamentals, but he didn't explain the fundamentals because he was trying. He at some point you need to assume that people know the fundamentals, because otherwise it's the perfect. I say that in Brazil, people have a doctor's degree in the verb to be, because every English lesson that you go, it starts with the verb to be. Doesn't matter if you're having lessons for 15 years, you change the school, here's the first lesson, verb to be. So you never pass the fundamentals
Yeah.
because you're always so. For example, if I have a new student and I ask, do you know the free stroke, and they don't, then yes, free stroke. But if it's somebody who already knows it, or even if the person hasn't practiced but knows about it, I it's a waste of time to talk about the fundamentals if the person comes for a specific knowledge, like when you found in the book the what you wanted. You know, if the book started again with a free stroke, that phrase you read wouldn't be part of the book.
No, that's true. I think that's kind of. I forgot what I was going to say there. Something clever to say. It's just gone out of my head.
Well, the problem is the person who should be listening is the one speaking the most, which is myself.
No. Like, this is like a free. This is like a free lesson. It was like when I jammed with Kira the other day. I'm constantly trying to. So, like I've seen you play up close a lot, Felipe, and like you. And I kind of feel like I know how your hands work a bit more. Kira's hands are a bit more of a mystery to me.
Bit fucking weird.
I wind her up about them being weird, but what I like is that it looks easy, and that's what I'm trying to get to now. I want to be, not that easy. No, but it does. Right, but it does. It doesn't look hard.
But have you watched yourself playing?
Yeah, I have, and it doesn't look hard when I do it, but it feels like it is.
Okay, but that's the thing. It doesn't mean that so you're actually looking for the feeling of ease.
Yes. Somebody said the other day, like I did this stupid whizzy thing on YouTube Shorts because that's what they want to say. It worked, like more views than most of my videos because I'm going around the drums at 3 million miles an hour. Phrasing, in fairness, I was actually playing that little right, and I go, you make it look so effortless. And I'm looking back now. See, again, I'm not sure whether this is an interesting question. I'm not sure whether it just doesn't feel effortless because I'm questioning it all the time, or I don't know. Anyway, yes, I'm looking for the feeling. I'm going to go off on a massive weird tangent if I'm not careful.
But it's important, Kira.
I have a question. So.
Oh yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God somebody has a question.
I have a freaking list.
Okay, good.
Why do you think some drummers find it easy to find their voice while others struggle?
Oh my God.
Mic drop.
That's.
And he was complaining about my curveballs. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that is a curveball.
Mark made the mistake of saying, I hope you've got some tricky questions. So the most trickiest or interesting ones.
It's condensing it into a sentence, I think. So the answer is the answer is confidence, but that's too short an answer.
I don't think it's only confidence, Okay. I think you need to at one point stop learning and play.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yes. I think. So I'm trying to I've got about 15 thoughts in my head at once. So for me, it's usually I certainly was guilty of that, too much learning, quote unquote. And that's so there's another thing that's changed is like, okay, I don't need to do any of that anymore. I need to do this. Because so part of it, this is going to come in fragments. So part of it certainly is the idea that you should play a certain way, right? That's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate it. I think it's nonsense. I like zipping around the kit at 3,000 miles an hour. I'm going to do that, and I like playing grooves.
And you should.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. I think chatted about this when we were in the studio the other day, Kira, but there is certainly, okay, so for the style that I kind of have played for a long time, the extreme stuff, it's very much looked down upon. Well, you know, it's getting better, but like it's kind of sneered at a little bit and like, you know. So, and in the back of my head, I've always had a little bit of an idea that I'm not a real professional if I'm playing that. I mean, these are ideas that I kind of brush aside, but it's there, right?
I don't think Dave Lombardo has any complaints about that.
Well, no, exactly. And this is what I remind myself. I mean, I went to see last week, I went to see a band called Belphegor and Morbid Angel. And here's the interesting thing. So, right, this ties in. I went to a friend's birthday last night and she's turning 30. She was going, oh, I'm so old. The singer from
It could be my daughter.
The singer from Belphegor is 52. And he's playing in a black metal band. And he's amazing. Awesome. And the singer from Morbid Angel is 57. And they don't look it. You know, because they're doing what they want, you know, exactly. and that's again. So again, tie back into what's changed. That's the other thing I'm trying to get to is that point where I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
I just play what I want to play because I like it.
I'm 52, and everyone in Metallica, everyone in the Slayer, and everyone in Testament are older than me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
At least 5 years, at the very least.
Are you in a black metal band though? That's the thing.
I'm not.
Not yet.
Who knows?
Give some corpse paint. My niece has started to get into some of that stuff. I've been kind of nudging her towards it, much to her mother's chagrin.
Awesome.
But well, yeah, no, she's a bit sort of, she likes it. But I think that certainly would be a problem. As much as I'm not a big fan of the, you know, kind of society made me do it sort of thing, but I think there is, because I think it's more complicated than that, but I think it's a thing. And particularly with Instagram nowadays, so it's kind of like there's a lot of criticism from certain quarters about quote unquote Instagram drummers. And I read a very interesting thing a while back, actually written by Louis, where he was sort of complaining about it, but also explaining like, it's like that because that's the landscape now. This is how it works now. And you can jump up and down and scream about it all the time. The fact is, you know, people have got a 10-second attention span. This is how you get seen. And also, you know, okay, it gets a bit boring watching gospel chops all the time, but some of it's really cool. And you see some interesting things. So, you know, and that kind of changed my mind about a lot of it because I was guilty a little bit. Oh, for God's sake, you know. The only thing I would like to see a little bit more of is people playing tracks. I like to watch that. Tracks that aren't prog rock, because there's loads of that. But I like just people playing music a bit more. That's, you know, if there could be something.
I think that most of the people, instead of trying to put something on Instagram or YouTube that's entertaining or educational, I think the first thought is, how am I going to impress people?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then obviously in the case of playing tracks, what are you going to play? Prog metal or whatever it's called, because this is where you can show off how good you are.
I think that fails though. I think if that is your drive for posting, I think people will see right through it. I really do.
Well, so
it's not giving people anything. It's not helping.
I haven't got anything to give them. No, seriously, on that score, because I've asked Kira, I just spend my time bugging Kira about Instagram.
I'm glad.
But you're next. No, but in all seriousness, because I don't like to add to the noise, right? I don't like to just put crap out for no reason. And what I found is that when I just sling the camera up and I play and I'm enjoying it, it gets a good response. And that's the only thing because I mean, YouTube's a complete alien entity to me. It doesn't make any, I don't know if you use the shorts, but like there's no rhyme or anything
at the moment.
There's no rhyme or reason as to why it gets any traction at all, whereas Instagram seems to be reasonably predictable. But I've noticed if I just play what I'm enjoy, which is doing those really quick zippy things, you can kind of tell that I'm in it rather than trying to do it. So I don't know. So that's kind of, again, that's what I'm want to do more of, is authentic, I suppose, is the thing. It's like, it's me just having fun with it rather than trying to do something, because every time I try and do something clever, it falls apart because I get so bloody nervous I'm going to do it wrong, you know. It's really strange, and that state, that kind of playing for funsies, is where I'm trying to get to, I think. And that's where I'm trying to get to. That I just want it to be fun. I mean, we want to be good at it, and I take it seriously, and I enjoy it, and I like the technique, and blah blah blah, you know. And I will sit and do that exercise Felipe said, you know, but I want it to be fun. There you go. I want it to just be fun again. And that right. So all the thoughts are coming together now. So that kind of ties in with the band thing I was saying, as to, like, because it stopped being fun. What was the question you asked again? Why do people?
This is about finding your
the voices. Yeah, right. Yeah, and I think that's what it is they so there's another thing, is they become so obsessed with getting it right, they stymie themselves. And that's a big thing. I read a thing about, I don't know if you watch many guitarists online, but there's a thing that happens amongst guitarists on YouTube where they do playthroughs where they're miming, because it's really easy to do on it. Yeah, it's a thing. I didn't believe it when I first came across it. But yeah, a lot of it goes on. Yeah.
Is it drums, not because they've recorded it and then they do the video after?
Still miming. They're still miming.
You're miming yourself, but you're still miming.
You're still miming. That? Is that bad?
It's miming.
It is.
There's nothing wrong with miming. If
they've recorded it.
No, there's right. So there's nothing wrong with that if they said, this is me miming to a playthrough.
Okay.
So what it does is give the illusion that they're playing perfectly.
Okay.
That's the problem. I don't have anything against it. And like in certain.
I do.
Okay. I don't have a problem with it per se. What I don't like is the idea that they're not telling you what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, none of this is insidious. I get it, because, like, okay, so recording drums is a pain, right? Doing it well is very difficult. It's a difficult instrument to record, right? Oh, this will make you laugh, just on an aside. I was tweaking the tension rods on the toms earlier to get a bit more rebound. Completely buggered the sound. It sounds awful. Feels great, but it sounds terrible. I've got a drum dial coming on Friday, so I'll fix it all. But so I think that it's the drive for perfection all the time, I think, is the thing that's there. So that's another aspect of this, that, like,
I think if you're miming because you're at top of the pops, or you recorded a video clip to what we in the past called MTV. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because
you have to, yeah.
It's a different purpose. But if you're doing a video on YouTube where you're trying to come with a message, I think it's wrong.
Yeah. Okay, you can cut this out. But are you going to judge me then? Because
I will.
I was going to do. I don't mind. But I was going to do a collaboration with someone whereby I was just going to record some stuff and send it to him, and then he was going to put guitar over.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I'll just do a video after. So you're going to then judge me?
No, this is different. This is the video clip thing.
So okay, because it's like it's not me saying, here, this is how we play, blah 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 blah.
No, yeah, exactly.
Is it a playthrough or a music video?
No, it's just going to be like a collaboration video.
Yeah, it's a music video.
It's a music video.
Yeah,
that's different.
So
it's not what you're doing. So it's never what you're doing. It's why you're doing it. So if you're doing it as a playthrough, it gives the false impression that you don't make any mistakes.
Oh no.
Right, and we know how many mistakes you make.
Exactly.
No, just.
Yeah, but
if there's not a mistake, it's a fake video, basically.
And that's so I suppose that's the problem. If it's because I've done a couple of music videos with the guitarist who teaches at Rock Bottom. You have to mime because they've got to fit the sound in and everything. But that's different.
It's a different thing.
And it's when they're. it gives an impression that they're playing perfectly, and I don't think that's good.
Yeah, no, I agree. You
know, I'd rather see. Sorry, go on.
Do you think, back to the question, do you think that somewhere from learning, just beginning, when you're a beginner and you know what you want to learn, let's say, and then somewhere between that and when you've been playing, I don't know, 20, 30 years, and then you finally have that acceptance of who you are, you feel like you can explore that. Somewhere in the middle, I think you get distracted. Do you think that's what happens with finding a voice?
Possibly. I mean, I can tell you an experience I had very early on that might have contributed to the sort of doubting voice. So I may have mentioned this last time. So I always wanted to play Slayer. Like, it's the first thing I wanted to play. I heard the song War Ensemble back when there was tapes in 1990, and I had it on a loop, a literal loop. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was just playing. I just wanted to do that, and I went to a drum teacher who kind of dismissed it. Right. And I mean, you know, it didn't have a instantly traumatic effect and bugger up my playing or anything, because I'm quite contrarian. So if you tell me I can't do it, I generally tend to stick two fingers up and do it anyway. But I think it was with the double pedal thing. He said, "Oh, you got to master single pedal before you play double pedal." It's why I never, like, if a student comes in and wants to, if they want to do a thing, I never tell them no. If I don't know how to do it, I'll, you know, point them at someone who does. But so that kind of attitude is there, I think.
But the thing is, for example, it didn't do you any harm because you went for what you wanted anyway. But I had an example of a student of mine that this attitude of the teacher was causing him to he was considering not playing the drums, and he was one of the best students I've ever had.
Wow.
Just because he was 12, and the teacher asked, what kind of music do you listen to? And he said, "Oh, I love Nirvana." And the teacher said, "Nirvana is rubbish. You need to listen to Miles Davis."
No, you can't.
Oh God!
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
awful.
That's what happened. I know. So when he came to me, and then I asked the same question, he panicked.
Right. Oh, that's terrible.
And then I said, "Come on, man, who's your favorite band?" And he said, "Nirvana." I said, "Wow, they're amazing. Dave Grohl's a great drummer." And then he smiled. He never expected me to say that.
Anybody who thinks he hasn't tried to play the line from Smells Like Teen Spirit properly with the double hit, and it's really hard.
It is.
I mean, to do it accurately and consistently with that level of I can't stand all of that. And that's so there you go. There's another, like, what throws people off.
Yeah,
it just those, you know, and I suppose it depends on kind of how you respond to it. But if you're getting that if you're getting that kind of thing a lot, it can be very tricky. The Groove Police, you've heard of them?
Yeah. Well, kind of.
The Groove Police. I mean, they are awful. They're everywhere. Well, if you go, I mean, it's one of the. If you go on Facebook and you know, you get endless posts about, you know, 2 and 4 pays the bills. Well, okay, but again, like, not for Dave Lombardo, it doesn't. You know, like that's always been in the back of my head. It's like, okay, that may be true, but I would.
Yeah, if you're playing a cruise ship or a functions band, yeah, it does.
So yeah,
but if you're gonna play in the jazz band, it won't.
No. Yeah, exactly.
And I just think
context, isn't it?
And it's very limiting. And this is supposed to be a creative art form that's about expression. Listen to me sounding all pretentious.
No, bloody love it. I'm like,
but it is. You're supposed to say, and again, it comes back to this. You want to say something.
Yes.
I went to see some very good bands the other night, and one of the main acts was mind blowing. But there was one thing that kind of, it's not a problem, but it was an interesting thing that I noticed, and my mate noticed it as well. That they sounded exactly like the record, like bang on, and the show was phenomenal. But I couldn't tell who the drummer was. I had no idea. And I know every drummer that this band's had. I couldn't, and they switched around quite a lot. Couldn't tell which one it was. Whereas the headline band, you knew from the first note. You knew exactly who it was. Now, you know, is that good or bad? I don't know, but it's an interesting phenomenon about sort of the modern approach to music, I guess.
I think it's a matter of taste, you know, because this thing of playing exactly like the record is not even new, you know.
No.
Rush made a career doing that.
Sure.
Eagles, completely different style, but exactly the same thing. They play live exactly like it's recorded.
Well, I don't have a problem with that I don't have a problem with any of it. The interesting thing was, so it would be like taking Neil Peart out of Rush and replacing him with someone else and not being able to tell.
Well, but that's probably what would happen.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
You know, but the thing is, for example, I don't have a problem with anything, but I saw Rush live once and that was enough.
Okay.
Because they play Tom Sawyer exactly like it's in the album.
Yeah.
So
it's
just good.
It's just an interesting thing that I noticed. I'm not entirely sure what I think about it. Like whether, I mean, it doesn't really matter either way, but it was an amazing show. But it was an interesting phenomenon. It's like I cannot tell which drummer is playing at this point. So.
You were talking about the Groove Police. There are obviously things I like and things I don't like, but I'm not the police for the things I don't like. I just watch the first 10 seconds, and if I don't like, I move on.
Yeah.
What's the point of saying this is rubbish?
It's because you're not an angry Facebook troll.
Yes.
I have more stuff to do in life.
What are your methods, if you have any, for students who have ADHD or like focus issues if they're super young, or things like that?
Right. So the short answer to that is two things that I use all the time. Body awareness and breathing. So I teach them to sit still, especially if I help them to sit still. The other thing that's really useful, so I kind of give you two things that I would use the most. Groove Scribe. Bloody brilliant. Right, because I know there's loads of kids at the school I teach at with ADHD or various things like that. They can see a thing moving on the screen and follow it, and they can hear it. There. So if I combine those two, I mean, obviously there's hours of things we could say about this, but those two things, I teach them, notice where the tension is. Why are you fidgeting, right? What's making you fidget? Sit with it, let it go, breathe, da-da-da. And one kid went from barely sitting still for 10 minutes to I bunged Groove Scribe on and left the room, stood outside listening. 20 minutes later, came back and he was still going. So it's just kind of finding that. So I mean, that's, it's a brilliant tool. I use it all the time. So thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So they're the two biggest things that I would, if you look at like a potted version of how I deal with that, they're the two things I address.
Cool.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh my God.
If that question was for me, I would say in an elderly home.
Shut up.
I'll let Felipe answer that.
I'll come visit you.
So
bring a pad.
I'll bring you a story.
Bring you some tea. So one of the things, I'll give you kind of two bits of it. Playing wise, I would like to be relaxed on the drums. I'd like to have that freedom there. That's where I'd like to be. That, like, minimal tension, right? Career wise, now here's a tricky thing. I've got what I want. I'm quite happy with it. So
nothing wrong with that.
No, and I've got two studios. I've got lots of students. I do therapy work. I just want to keep doing it. I love it. I mean, honestly, if I never played live again, it would be great, but I would be happy, because I love what I do, which is, I have found until fairly recently, much harder to deal with than anything else. Because I've been, my entire life, I've gone on, right, got to keep going, more, keep going. And one of the people that changed my mind about that was an old business coach I had who was very good. A guy called Andrew Horder, and he's very good at working with artists who don't know how to make money. Really good with turning the business bit of you on. But one thing he said was, the only thing in nature that has perpetual growth is cancer. It's not always a good idea, and sometimes you've got to know when to stop. And so now what I'm actually doing is so I have a PA who works for me. One of the things we do is schedule time when I'm not teaching, right? And it's not even so much the amount of time, it's mentally saying, right, I'm not doing it now. And just, does that make sense? So kind of having that, allowing myself to cut off and not be a drummer and have a social life and go out and, right, because
how odd.
It's important.
Well, I don't know, because I spent a very long time, because I really wanted it, being quite obsessed with it and doing it all the time. So in 5 years, the only thing I'd like a new drum kit at some point. I don't really need one. I'd quite like one.
Needing that has nothing to do with that.
No, I don't. Yeah, I know.
I just bought a new ride cymbal that I didn't need at all.
What one?
A new ride cymbal.
Yeah, no, which?
Cappadocia ride by Turkish Cymbals.
Oh wow, is it like a jazz thing or?
No, it's a dark, dry cymbal that I like. I like dry ride cymbals.
See, I like dry ride cymbals now, so I want a dry. I see myself having a dry ride cymbal.
That's the thing. You see yourself having one. I bought my 7th dry ride cymbal.
Oh wow! So I've just one of the things I've kind of I would like the same as what I've got, but maybe a bit, I don't know, swisher, like nicer, more drums. Maybe, I think we'll probably move out of here within 10 years and get somewhere with
bigger to fit more drums.
I want somewhere with an outside space, like with the studio, because my mate's got one and my God, it's amazing. But like that and to kind of, it's more to do with how my time would be structured. So I'm very slowly getting into the habit of, in a relaxed way, without stressing about it, going in and practicing all the time. Because I had a period where I wasn't. So I kind of, and the way I got to that was treating it like training, like weightlifting, because you don't have bad days on weightlifting. It's just another training session. So it's that mental shift away from this. So yeah, I don't really, because I've done the 5-year, 10-year plan thing in coaching so often, I'm kind of at the point where I don't really want to do that now. I'm really happy with what I've got. What I want to do in 5 years' time is to have come on in the next 40th episode, so that people start asking questions.
It's not going to be 5 years. It's going to be a lot less than that, because it took us 1 year to get 40 and another year to get 80. So next year you're back.
120 at the end of next year. Where will I be still struggling with my hands? No. So that, I'm just very happy.
Well, boss, thank you very much.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Thank you for being part of the 80th episode. And
yes, a mystical number.
Yeah. Hope to see you soon.
Yes, you will. Thank you.